Gentlemen, let me begin with a truth that may shock you. Every single year after the age of 60, your testosterone quietly slips away, leaving you weaker, more tired, and less confident in your own skin. But what if the key to turning that decline around, to reigniting the fire you thought was lost, was not found in a pharmacy, but in something as ordinary as the box of baking soda already sitting in your kitchen? I'm Dr. Mohit Kara, a urologist and men's health specialist with over 3 decades of experience helping men just like you reclaim their strength, their vitality, and their passion. I've seen what works, and I've dedicated my life to giving men over 60 real solutions, natural, practical, and proven by science. Here is the paradox most men never realize. We often search for complex answers in expensive pills or risky treatments while ignoring the simple, powerful remedies hiding in plain sight. Baking soda, when paired with one specific natural ingredient before bed, can create an environment inside your body where testosterone doesn't just survive, it thrives. Tonight, I'm going to show you exactly how this combination works, why it supports stronger hormones, better circulation, and more reliable performance. And most importantly, how you can start using it right away. This isn't theory, it's a natural method you can put into practice in less than 5 minutes. And stay with me until the end because I'll reveal not only the ingredient you must combine with baking soda, but also the exact timing that turns this simple mixture into a powerful evening ritual for men over 60 who want to feel younger, stronger, and more alive again. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another doctor-approved tip to keep your testosterone, energy, and vitality strong after 60. And I'd love your feedback. If this video resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 and let me know how I can make these health lessons even more helpful for you. Now that you understand why this simple mixture deserves your attention, let's begin with the foundation. To truly see why baking soda can make such a difference, we must first understand testosterone itself, why it matters so deeply for men over 60, and what happens when it begins to decline. 1. Why testosterone matters after 60. When I sit across from men in their 60s and 70s, I often hear the same quiet confession. "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore." Their voices are softer, their shoulders a little heavier, and their eyes searching for some reassurance that what they're going through isn't the end of the road. And almost every time, the underlying culprit is the same: low testosterone. It is something most men never see coming, yet it touches nearly every corner of their lives. Testosterone is far more than just the hormone of sex drive, though that alone would make it important. It is the very signal that tells your body to stay strong, to keep your muscles firm, to protect your bones from becoming brittle, and to maintain a metabolism that fights back against the stubborn belly fat that creeps in with age. It is the spark that keeps your mind sharp, your mood steady, and your confidence intact. Without it, the fire of manhood dims, not any sudden collapse, but in a slow, relentless fading that leaves men wondering where their strength and vigor went. After the age of 60, the decline becomes impossible to ignore. Research shows testosterone levels drop on average about 1% each year after middle age. But the reality is often harsher. For some men, the fall is steeper due to poor diet, lack of exercise, sleep problems, chronic stress, and long-term medications. The result is not just a number on a blood test. It is felt in the way you move, the way you recover, and the way you live. The mornings where you wake up tired, even after 8 hours of sleep, the afternoons where energy crashes leave you reaching for coffee or sugar, the evenings where intimacy feels more like pressure than pleasure. These are all signs of a system starved of the very hormone that once defined your vitality. And the changes are not only physical. Testosterone has a profound impact on the mind. Low levels often bring irritability, anxiety, or a lingering cloud of depression. Motivation suffers. A man who once pursued projects with drive and confidence may find himself putting things off, losing the spark that made him feel purposeful. I've seen marriages strained not because love is gone, but because energy, desire, and confidence have been quietly eroded by hormonal decline. Wives often sit beside their husbands in my office, nodding silently when I describe the symptoms, relieved to know it isn't a lack of affection, but a biological shift that can be addressed. What makes this so difficult is how gradual it is. Most men don't wake up one day with all their testosterone gone. Instead, it slips away in small increments. The belt notch gets a little tighter, workouts feel a little harder, erections lose a little firmness. Passion dims just slightly. Year by year, piece by piece, manhood seems to fade into memory. And because it happens slowly, many men simply accept it as part of aging. They tell themselves, this is just how it is after 60. But that belief is not entirely true. Here is the encouraging truth I've seen in decades of practice. The decline is real, but it is not final. Testosterone levels can be influenced. Your body still has the ability to produce this vital hormone even after 60. The key is creating the right environment, reducing the obstacles that suppress production, and giving your cells the raw materials they need to do their job. When men learn this, when they realize they still have some control, hope returns. They stand taller, not just because their hormones improve, but because they rediscover that they are not powerless against aging. This is where baking soda enters the picture in such a surprising way. On its own, it may look like nothing more than white powder for baking bread or cleaning a sink. But inside your body, it can help shift the balance in favor of testosterone, supporting the very systems that weaken with age. And when it's paired with one specific natural ingredient, the effect becomes even more powerful. So, let's take a closer look at what makes baking soda so unique, why most men overlook it, and how it may become an unexpected ally in protecting your masculinity after 60. 2. The overlooked power of baking soda. When most men think of baking soda, they picture it in the kitchen or tucked away in the refrigerator to absorb odors. It's a household item so ordinary that it almost feels laughable to imagine it playing any role in men's health. And yet, over the years, I've been surprised by just how often the simplest, most overlooked remedies can carry hidden power. Baking soda is one of those quiet allies. I remember one patient, a man in his late 70s, who came to me feeling frustrated. He had tried expensive supplements, read every advertisement for testosterone boosters, even flirted with risky hormone injections, but nothing seemed to give him the steady energy and confidence he craved. He almost chuckled when I asked him if he had ever considered baking soda. "You mean the stuff I brush my teeth with sometimes?" But after a few weeks of consistent use in the right way, his face told me everything. His energy picked up, his muscles didn't ache as much, and he felt more in tune with his body than he had in years. That's when it really struck me again. Sometimes the answers are right in front of us, but we never think to look. What makes baking soda so powerful is its ability to change the internal environment of your body. As we grow older, our blood and tissues tend to become more acidic, a product of processed foods, alcohol, stress, and even natural aging. That acidity may not always be obvious, but it puts a strain on your cells and interferes with the delicate processes needed for hormone production. Testosterone, in particular, suffers in an overly acidic environment. Baking soda works as an alkalizing agent by neutralizing excess acidity. It helps restore balance, creating conditions where your cells, including the testosterone-producing lighting cells in the testes, can perform at their best. But that is only part of the story. Another overlooked benefit of baking soda is its effect on circulation and oxygen delivery. Blood flow is the lifeline of vitality. Without healthy circulation, muscles feel heavy, energy feels drained, and erections lose their strength. Studies in athletes have shown that baking soda reduces lactic acid buildup, allowing for better endurance and recovery. While most of us are not sprinting on a track in our 60s, the principle still applies. Better circulation means better oxygen supply to your organs, including your heart and reproductive system. And better oxygen supply means more support for testosterone and sexual performance. There's also a subtle yet important effect on fatigue. Many men over 60 tell me that tiredness moment every single night. There's a sense of dignity in this ritual too. Instead of chasing after the latest fad or relying on costly treatments, you're reclaiming control with something safe, natural, and already within your reach. It becomes not just a step in your evening routine, but a statement that you refuse to let age dictate the terms of your vitality. I've seen men sit taller, speak with more confidence, and carry themselves differently after just a few weeks of consistency. The beauty of this practice is that it grows with you. The longer you commit to it, the more benefits you begin to notice. Energy during the day feels steadier, recovery after light exercise is faster, intimacy feels less like a struggle and more like it once was. Natural, confident, even joyful. That's what happens when you work with your body instead of against it. But I want you to understand this is only part of the picture. The ritual itself sets the stage, but what truly convinces men to keep going are the changes they begin to feel. And that leads us into the next critical piece of the puzzle. What happens when you stay consistent? When you give your body 30 days of this nightly support, the results may surprise you. And I'll share exactly what men have experienced next. 5. What men experience after consistency. One of the most common questions I hear from men when I first share this evening ritual is, "Doc, how long before I actually feel anything?" It's an honest question because by the time many men reach their 60s, they've already tried countless pills, powders, and promises that never delivered. I always tell them the same thing. This is not about instant miracles, but about steady, natural change. And when you give your body 30 days of consistency, the changes often arrive quietly at first, then more boldly until you realize that something inside you has begun to shift. The earliest thing men notice is often energy, not the jittery spike you get from coffee or sugar, but a calmer, more dependable energy that lasts throughout the day. One man in his 70s described it as a steady flame instead of a flicker. He said he no longer needed an afternoon nap to get through the day, and when he walked his dog in the evenings, he didn't feel drained. That steadiness is the first sign that your hormones are finding balance again, that your system is working with you instead of against you. Another change many men report is in their mornings. For years, they had woken up stiff, sluggish, and without drive. But after a few weeks of this nightly practice, their mornings began to feel different. They woke up with a sense of alertness and, in many cases, with the return of something they hadn't experienced in years: morning firmness. That natural sign of male vitality is often one of the strongest indicators that testosterone is rising and blood flow is improving. When it returns, it brings with it not just physical readiness, but a deep sense of reassurance that manhood is not lost. As the weeks go on, intimacy begins to change too. Many men tell me they no longer have to fight so hard to feel desire. It comes more naturally, and with it, confidence returns. Wives and partners often notice before the men themselves do. They comment that their husbands seem more present, more affectionate, more alive. It's not just the body that improves. The relationship grows warmer because the burden of performance anxiety begins to lift. I've watched couples rediscover closeness they thought had faded away forever. Physical changes appear as well. Belly fat, that stubborn band around the waist that seems to mock men as they age, starts to shrink when testosterone production improves. Muscles respond more readily to light exercise. Even if you're only walking or doing simple stretches, the recovery is faster, the soreness is less, and the results feel more visible. One man joked with me that he looked in the mirror and thought, "Hey, I know that guy," because his chest and arms began to feel firm again instead of soft. These are small victories, but when stacked together, they remind a man that he still has control over his body. Perhaps the most moving transformation is the return of confidence. When men feel their strength coming back, when energy steadies, when intimacy becomes enjoyable again, they stand taller, they speak with more conviction, they carry themselves with pride. It's as if life feels less like a slow decline and more like an open horizon again. I've seen men take up old hobbies, travel with their spouses, or simply smile more because they feel capable once again. That confidence spills into every part of life: work, family, friendships, and the quiet moments alone when a man looks in the mirror and finally likes what he sees. But I don't want you just to imagine these changes. I want you to understand how you can make them stronger, faster, and longer lasting. Because while the baking soda and lemon ritual is powerful on its own, the results multiply when paired with certain daily habits that support hormone health and circulation. And that is exactly what we'll explore next, so you can take this foundation and build upon it for even greater vitality. 6 supportive habits that multiply the effect. Over the years, I've seen men discover the power of simple rituals like the baking soda and lemon mixture, and I've also seen how much further those results can go when supported by a few key habits. Think of the mixture as planting a seed. It has the potential to grow into something strong, but without water, sunlight, and care, that seed will never reach its full strength. In the same way, your body needs certain nutrients and lifestyle choices to amplify the effect of this evening ritual. When you combine them, the benefits multiply, and the results feel deeper, faster, and longer lasting. One of the most overlooked nutrients for men over 60 is zinc. I often tell my patients that zinc is like the ignition key for testosterone. Without it, the engine doesn't even start. Your body simply cannot produce testosterone properly if you're deficient. And unfortunately, many older men are. Zinc also plays a vital role in keeping the prostate healthy, which is especially important as we age. Foods like pumpkin seeds, oysters, beans, and lean cuts of beef are some of the richest sources. And when men make a conscious effort to include them in their weekly diet, their hormone response is noticeably stronger. I've had men come back and tell me that simply adding a handful of pumpkin seeds to their evening snack made them feel steadier and more energetic in just a few weeks. Magnesium is another mineral I urge men not to ignore. If zinc is the ignition, magnesium is the calm that keeps the ride smooth. Stress is one of the greatest enemies of testosterone, and as men get older, their stress hormones tend to climb. Cortisol and testosterone cannot thrive together. When one goes up, the other goes down. Magnesium helps bring cortisol under control. It tells your body, relax, it's safe to function normally. Foods like spinach, almonds, and even a small square of dark chocolate can give you the magnesium your body craves. I've seen men who struggled with restless sleep finally rest more soundly after adding magnesium-rich foods to their daily meals. And when sleep improves, testosterone follows. Hydration may sound too simple to matter, but it's often the missing piece. Your blood is over 90% water, and circulation is the blood life of energy, erections, and hormone delivery. When your blood is thick from dehydration, your body has to work harder to move oxygen and nutrients where they are needed. Add alcohol into the picture, and the problem becomes even worse. By staying hydrated and keeping alcohol moderate, you give your body a fluid balance that makes everything work more efficiently, from your heart pumping blood to your testes producing testosterone.